Hi guys, am I live now? Let me check. Today I have to complete almost 25 videos of advanced Java. Let me check that I'm live or not. Check. एक मिनट. Let me check. इतना बड़ा कैसे हो रखा है छोटा कर कैसे? इतना काफी है. Let's do it. Let's do it. One watching है तो मैं ही हूँ. इसका लिंक शेयर करने को क्यों नहीं आ रहा? है जी. ये आ गया. Copy link. Yo, we are live. Today we are going to do. यार मैं इसे दूसरी विंडो में ले जाऊँ अगर मतलब दूसरे टैब में एक्सटेंड करके तो क्या मुझे तीन चार टैब एक साथ दिखेंगे स्ट्रीम पे? चेक करा जाए. किसे भेज दूँ स्ट्रीम और स्ट्रीम चला के रख दो यार साइड में. किसे भेजूँ और किसे भेजूँ किसे भेजूँ? यार किसे भेजूँ और समझ नहीं आ रहा. हम्म. भाजी भाजी हमारे वाले एस टी भाई. अच्छा भेज दिया उसे तो मैंने. नेट नहीं चल रहा मेरा. योर लॉस. स्टार्ट कर दिया जाए. मुझे टैब लाना है 1 मिनट के लिए. अभी आता हूँ मैं. प्लीज। आ गया भाई मैं टैब लेके। वेब कैम यूज करूं? कोई क्वालिटी में डिफरेंस आएगा क्या इससे? देखो, चेक करा जाए। बार बार क्यों टाइम वेस्ट कर रहा हूँ? तो देखते हैं तो क्या डिफरेंस आता है। क्यों? कहाँ पे आएगा ये? यूएसबी नॉट रिकॉग्नाइज्ड। अरे क्या हो रहा है बाबू? Where is my cameras? Camera, 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 camera. ये तो OBS आ रहा है। अरे यार क्या आ गए? मैंने तो ऐड भी नहीं करा। डिलीट डिलीट का ऑप्शन तो ये है। आई श्योर, आई एम श्योर। वीडियो। अभी मेरी फ्रीज हो गई वीडियो। हेलो। काम नहीं है ये, इसका मतलब। फटाफट टैब कनेक्ट करके पढ़ने बैठ रहा। बहुत टाइम वेस्ट हो गया। बहुत मतलब बहुत। बिल्कुल समय का नाश हो गया। देखिए जी, चल रहा है नहीं चल रहा है हमारा। ये जी नहीं चल रहा। चल रहा। नहीं चला। कनेक्शन लॉस्ट। इसे कर दो यार जी एडजस्ट। देना काफ़ी है। और ये हमारा आ गया इधर। वाओ। The last USB device you connected to this compressed malfunction and not recognize it. Close. ये जी देखो जी, इसमें देखो लिस्ट। अरे क्या हुआ? आ, क्या हो गया ये? मेरी ओवेज गए प्रेस हो गया। आ गया। वी आर बैक। और मुझे कुछ नहीं करना, मुझे चैट देखनी है थोड़ी सी। क्या मैं डायरेक्ट अपने आप को म्यूट कर सकता हूँ? जी बढ़िया, नाइस। लाइव चेक तो करें। आओ। दीपक भाई लाइव नहीं आया आज। दीपक भाई का चैनल पॉप आउट हो जाता है सीधे मेरे मुंह पे। फिर इसमें लाइक वीडियोस नहीं, हमने दिखाई नहीं है तुम लोग को। ये म्यूट करके रखो मेरा यार। क्या हो रहा है? आउट हो जाता है सीधे मेरे मुंह पे। फिर इसमें लाइक वीडियोस कोई नहीं आया, हमने दिखाई नहीं है तुम लोग को। ये अपने आप से बातें कर रहा हूँ मैं जब से। म्यूट करके रखो मेरा यार। क्या हो रहा है? मेरी आवाज़ नहीं आ रही, जाता है सीधे मेरे मुंह पे। फिर इसमें लाइक वीडियोस कोई नहीं आया, हमने दिखाई नहीं है तुम लोग को। ये अपने आप से बातें कर रहा हूँ मैं जब से। टैब में जा रही है, म्यूट करके रखो, एक्सेंट कर रखी है। फिर तो कुछ वहीं से यार। क्या हो रहा है? मेरी आवाज़ नहीं आ रही, जाता है सीधे मेरे मुंह पे। फिर इसमें लाइक वीडियो अपने आप से बातें कर रहा हूँ मैं जब से। टैब में जा रही है, म्यूट करके रखो, एक्सेंट कर रखी है। फिर तो कुछ वहीं से यार। क्या हो रहा है? मेरी आवाज़ नहीं आ रही, जाता है सीधे मेरे मुंह पे। हाय टू मी। फिर इसमें लाइक वीडियो अपने आप से बातें कर रहा हूँ मैं जब से। टैब में जा रही है, म्यूट करके रखो, एक्सेंट कर रखी है। फिर तो कुछ वहीं से यार। यार कोई आया नहीं लाइव, पढ़ने पे नहीं बैठता। क्या हुआ ये? आवाज नहीं।
I mean, the actual thing, let's say Java, then option 2 is CPP, which is C++. The name can be confusing, but we have a question variable here, which is the actual question, what is Java, or what's the size of int in Java? So we have this here, and what I will do is, I will try to run this code, and what you will get is one of the favorite thing in Java, which is the null pointer exception. Let me wrap this. Let me just fetch it here. So you can see we got an error, which is a null pointer exception. The reason we got null pointer exception is, if you're thinking we got the questions, no, we have not got the question, but what we got is the reference of the questions, not the actual object. So we need to initialize those objects. Example, if I initialize the object by saying,
तुम लोग को टेलीस्कोप भाई का मुंह नहीं दिख रहा होगा मेरे ख्याल से। सही है यार, नहीं दिखना चाहिए यार। क्या उनका सिर्फ सर का टकला दिखेगा। ठीक है, अब शायद दिख पा।
questions of 0 equal to new question. Now this is where I'm creating an object, okay? In the initial set, which is this is just an array of references, but not the actual object. And now if I run this by clearing the screen, let's run. And you can see it says null. So there's no null point exception, but it's null. Reason being, we got the object, but the get question is still null. Okay, so that means when we create the question, we need to make sure that we are creating the objects of it. Now how will we do it? Now since we want 5 questions, what I can do is I can create a constructor here for the question service. And in this, we have to manually create the thing which we have done here. This should not be done here. And likewise, I can type this statement 5 times. Of course, we can also use a loop there to assign the values. But then to fill up, right? So what we can do here is we can pass the values here in the constructor for the question. That also means that we need to create a constructor which will take values. So right click here and say source action. I need a constructor which can accept all the values. Click on OK. So you can see we got a constructor here which will take all the values. And then you can come back here and you can put up the values here. Okay. Example, let's say the first thing we have is question ID. Then we have some question. I'm not sure what the question is. I will simply say what. Okay. And then we will be having option 1. Let's say option 1 is the actual thing. Let's say Java. Then option 2 is CPP, which is C++. Option 3 is Python. And then, so there's a question maybe, which of this language is founded in year 1995? So it says Java, so let's do that. And the last option we are saying is C#. And then we can give a right answer. All these are options here, right? So we got ID, question, OPT. Again, don't get confused with this.
Why we need constructor here? ये ऑटोमेटिकली रन होता है जब ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट होता है, तो इन्होंने कौन सी यूज करे? पैरामीटराइज्ड कंस्ट्रक्टर। अच्छा जी, इसकी जरूरत क्या पड़ी यहाँ पे? क्या बोलेगी?
That also means that we need to create questions. But then even if you do that, your questions values will be empty, right? So we have so many things to fill up, right? So what we can do here is we can pass the values here in the constructor for the question. That also means that we need to create a constructor which will take values. So right click here and say source action. I need a constructor which can accept all the values. Click on OK. So you can see we got a constructor here which will take all the values. And then you can come back here and you can put up the values here. Okay. Example, let's say the first thing we have is question ID.
समझ में नहीं आया। No need to specify data type। नहीं, ये तो कुछ और है। मतलब मैंने गेटर सेटर बना लिए तो मुझे कंस्ट्रक्टर की क्या जरूरत पड़ी? इसको सोर्स कोड उठाना पड़ेगा ना। अच्छा, इसको सोर्स कोड ही है बस, नोट्स नहीं है। कौन सी सर्विस थी? क्वेश्चन सर्विस। अरे तो उन्होंने आगे पढ़ा दिया इसमें काफी। Why we need constructor if we have getter setters? क्वेश्चंस, अरे उन्होंने हटा दी गेटर सेटर को। अच्छा ये थी फाइल, सॉरी। Why we need constructor? मेरा दिमाग खराब हो गया, टाइप तो नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ। Why we need constructor if we हम बहुत सारे लोग हैं। If we have getters and setters से हटा। Used to create an initialize an object used to अच्छा सॉरी, इतना भी नहीं पता मुझे यार, देख लो। Automatically when new is used, ये तो पता था मुझे कि ठीक है, जब न्यू ऑटो रन्स ऑटोमेटिकली रन होता है जब न्यू कीवर्ड यूज होता है। जबकि मतलब न्यू मतलब मैं ऑब्जेक्ट बना रहा हूँ, का मतलब called by once, called only once, can be called many times। अच्छा जी, मतलब कि हमने empty, suppose without constructor empty object created, memory after creation immediate object like this, you then have to call the 7 setter methods with constructor. Creating an object is much easier। हम्म। इससे समझ आएगा सही से क्या। कंस्ट्रक्टर is building house and house building build your walls you don't need to build। अच्छा जी। आई मीन ये तो बनाना ही था, इतना कंपलसरी चीज थी।
ID. Then we have some question. I'm not sure what the question is. I will simply say what. Okay. And then we will be having option one. Let's say option one is A. I mean the actual thing. Let's see which of this language options here. We can mention Java there. And then just to make you understand with this options here, right? So we got is C sharp, and then we can give a right answer. All these are options here, right? So we got ID sharp, and then we can give a right answer. All these are options here, right? So we got ID question OPT. Again, don't get confused with this things in gray. This is basically given by your VS Code just to make you understand what value you are assigning to Java. So we can mention 5 times. So instead of typing it manually in the video, I will just copy paste it. Okay. So I have a file question zero. I mean, we got 5 questions here, and then these are the values which I've inserted. Nothing fancy, just a simple thing. The size of int, size of doubles, of course. Code. Okay, let me just clear this screen. So if I try to do this, compile all the files, and run main. This looks much better, right? So instead of clicking it, it gives the bunch of text. Let's do this. So you can see when I run this main, it is giving me size of int. Okay, so we got the first question, but I want to print all the questions, right? How will you do that? So what I can do here is I will use a loop to print all. I can say question Q colon questions. So question Q from questions, and then I can open the curly brackets, close it here. Okay, and the thing is, instead of saying 0 here, we should be saying Q now, because every time you run this loop, the enhanced for loop, basically question. I don't know why I'm using this. Let me just use this, compile all the files, the question, options, answer as well. So what I can do is, instead of printing the get question, let me print the Q itself. Now the problem is when you do this, let me compile all the files again and run. It will print the question and some weird stuff. It's just that if you want to print the object, we have to use toString method. So I can go back to my question, and question what we don't have in the question is a toString. ToString will do is every time we try to print the object, data in a particular format, which is generated by the ID. Of course, you can type it manually as well. That's your choice. Now, after making the changes, if I go back and compile this to run, and now you can see we got all the questions. So we got question ID, the actual question, then options, 4 options, and answer, right? So at this point, what we were able to do is we were able to 4 questions to run, your choice. Now, after making the changes, is generated by
ओवरराइट करा उन्होंने टू स्ट्रिंग को, मतलब।
the ID. Of course, you can type it manually as well. That's your choice. Now, after making the changes, if I go back, so we got question ID, the
क्या कर रहा है यार, हार्ड कोडेड है ये इसमें।
display question, and also for every question, it will take the input from the user. What is that?
क्या मेरा मन क्यों कर रहा है अपने स्ट्रीम देखने का बार बार।
Display question, and also for every question.
खुद को ही मुझे 25 एक्सपी मिल गई, अपनी स्ट्रीम लैग नहीं करी, बताओ। चलो।
Their choice, right? What is their answer? Now, how do we do that? So basically, we can change the display question itself. Instead of saying display question, I can say play quiz, right? This will make much more sense, right? Play quiz, and then okay. Also, we need to change it here now. You can't say display question.
सूसू करके आ रहा हूँ। खाने गया था यार मैं कुछ, बहुत तेज भूख लग रही थी। यानी यार हाथ पैर गिर रहा है यार, 8 बजे खाना खाया था। खाने गया था यार मैं कुछ, बहुत तेज भूख लग रही थी। यानी यार हाथ पैर गिर रहा है यार, 8 बजे खाना खाया था। खाने गया था यार मैं कुछ, बहुत तेज भूख मैं अपनी बंद कर रहा हूँ लाइव में, मतलब डिस्प्ले बंद कर रहा हूँ। तो मुझे क्या करना है मैं बताता हूँ आप लोगों को। मुझे आप लोग को डिस्प्ले शेयर नहीं करना है, मुझे आपको एक स्पेसिफिक विंडो शेयर करनी है। इसके लिए मैं अपना पहले डिस्प्ले कैप्चर कर दूंगा डिलीट। ओके, अब मैं करूँगा, एक ट्यूटोरियल बन गया बेफालतू का यार। मैं अपनी बंद कर रहा हूँ लाइव में हटा। अब मुझे करना है विंडो कैप्चर करनी है, विंडो कैप्चर करनी है। विंडो कैप्चर में मेरे पास क्या आ रहा है यहाँ पे, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट एज, ये हो गई ऐड। ओके जी, वैसे मैं करूँगा ऊपर, मेरा फोटो नहीं आ रहा। मेरा फोटो क्यों नहीं आ रहा? ऊपर चला जा। हो गई। अब मैं चेक करूँगा कि तुम लोग को मेरी मतलब डिस्प्ले बंद कर रही है अगर क्रोम। तो मुझे क्या करना है मैं बताता हूँ आप लोग को। मुझे आप लोग को डिस्प्ले शेयर नहीं करना है, मुझे आपको एक स्पेसिफिक विंडो शेयर करनी है। इसके लिए मैं अपना पहले डिस्प्ले कैप्चर कर दूंगा डिलीट। ओके, अब मैं करूँगा, एक ट्यूटोरियल बन गया बेफालतू का यार। मैं अपनी बंद कर रहा हूँ लाइव में हटा। अब मुझे करना है, मेरे पास करूँगा क्रोम। तो मुझे क्या करना है मैं बताता हूँ आप लोग को। मुझे आप लोग को डिस्प्ले शेयर नहीं करना है, मुझे आपको एक स्पेसिफिक विंडो शेयर करनी है। इसके लिए मैं अपना पहले डिस्प्ले कैप्चर कर दूंगा डिलीट। ओके, अब मैं करूँगा, एक ट्यूटोरियल बन गया बेफालतू का यार। मैं अपनी बंद कर रहा हूँ लाइव में हटा। अब मुझे करना है, मेरे पास करूँगा क्रोम। तो मुझे क्या करना है मैं बताता हूँ आप लोग को। मुझे आप लोग को डिस्प्ले शेयर नहीं करना है, मुझे आपको एक स्पेसिफिक विंडो शेयर करनी है। इसके लिए मैं अपना चल यार मैं हटा रहा हूँ स्ट्रीम अब। ठीक है, तेरा कमेंट नहीं देख पाऊंगा। दो लोगों ने रिएक्ट करा क्या? अच्छा मेरे यार। क्या बोल रहा हूँ यार मैं। मेरी स्ट्रीम फ्रीज हो गई है। अच्छा मेरी स्टॉप थी। अपनी स्ट्रीम कोई स्ट्रीम को देख के थक गया हूँ। कहाँ पे थे? सॉरी।
questions. The method name has been changed. So just play quiz, right? And now go back here. Now when you're playing quiz, you don't need to just display the question, right? We need to display the question, but not in this format. It is printing all the question, and after printing one question, it should also ask the user what is their answer, right? Okay, so what I'm saying is, instead of printing the entire question, I will print this one by one. Maybe the first thing I'm going to print is the ID, because I want to print the ID as well. The only thing is, when I say ID, maybe I want to print, because the ID number starts with 1, okay, that's what we're doing here. Yeah, we have ID number 1, that works. I can simply say get ID, it will print the ID first, and maybe instead of printing just this, I will also print question number, so that user will know what we are printing. So question number, it will print the ID. And then the next line, I want to print the actual question. So I will say q dot get question. That's done. And then on the next line, I want to print the options, all 4 options. So I can say print out, system.out.print, q dot get option 1. And likewise, I want to do this for 4 options. I can simply, creating an array will make much more sense for the options. We can use an inner loop to print all the options, right? You can do that. Maybe that is one of your assignment. You can try it out. So 3 and 4. Okay. So what we're displaying is inner loop to print all the options, right? You can do that. Maybe that is one of your assignment. You can try it out. So all 1. And likewise, I want to do this for 4 options. I can simply, creating an array will make much more sense for the options. We can use an inner loop to print all the options, right? You can do that. Maybe that is one of your assignment. You can try it out. So 3 and 4. Okay. So what we're displaying is, we are displaying a question. We're displaying the question ID here, then the actual question and the 4 options. And after this, we need to display, okay, make sure that you're not displaying the answer. So let's skip that, because here, if you can see the earlier output, it was displaying the answer as well. Don't display the answers. But after showing this question, I want to take the user input. Now, how do you take user input? So we can use something called scanner. So I can say scanner SC equal to new scanner. And in this scanner, you can pass two things, not two things, one. You can pass system.in. So basically what you're doing is you're saying, hey, I want to get the input from the user, and the input will be coming from the input source, which is system.in. So the way we are doing it here, right, we are saying system.out, which is for the output. System.in is for the input. And scanner helps you to get the value, because scanner has a lot of methods to use. And one thing to remember, whenever we use scanner, we have to import a package, which is java.util.scanner, because it's an inbuilt class. And if you want to use it, you have to just import it. Okay. Otherwise, in your IDE, if you complete the word scanner, say control space, it will give you the import option. Okay, once you got this scanner, now we can take the input. The way you can take the input is sa.nextLine. So with the help of next line, whatever a user has written on the console, it will take that as an input. And you can store that somewhere now. Where you want to store it, maybe I will use a variable here, let's say selection, the user selection. And then, okay, I need to create this variable somewhere. We'll do that later. But I will take the input and store it in a selection as a variable. So whatever user selected. So instead of values, right? So it will be 5. New string values here, as you can see. And if I go back now, instead of storing it in selection, we should store in a particular index. Now, how do we know the index? The problem is we are using an enhanced for loop. That's why we don't have an I. So what I can do is I can say int I equal to 0 initially. And here I can simply say I plus plus. Either you can say I plus plus here, or maybe you can, just to keep it simple, I can say I and then I plus plus. Because every time you run this loop, you have to make sure that the new answer is going to the next. And just to see, right, from print all the user answers, what users entered. I think this looks cool. Let me just clear this screen and compile the file. All the files, basically, whatever you have changed. And run this. And you can see it says now you got the question, right? Question number 1, size of int. These are the 4 options you got. You have to enter the right answer. So I'm not. So let's say 4 in this case. Wrong answer. Long displaying it, right? And at the end, you can see this is what user has entered. So for the first question, user has entered 4, then 8, then 8, then 2, then 3, right? So basically, what when we say the play quiz, they think is third will be 0. Then you through each. So do practice, make some changes, and if you think. In this video, let's talk about abstract keyword. Now, what is abstract? So before that, let's understand something. So we know what is class, what is object, what is inheritance, and how do we do overriding of the methods, right? Now, with those knowledge, let's talk about abstract keyword. So for that, what I will do is I will create a class here, and let me name this class as, let's say, a car, okay? Now, in this car, you will define some methods. Let's say if we talk about car, a car can drive, of course, right? A car can play music as well, public.
मैंने क्या ग्रेट एब्स्ट्रैक्शन नहीं पढ़ा है क्या? अरे इसमें पढ़ोगे क्या?
I mean, that's what we do, right? We also play music in the car. You know,
लंबा टॉपिक है. बाबू कमेंटेड है. वाह यार 0 की बात है. ये मेरी आवाज हल्की आ रही है, तो बता. मेरा मन नहीं कर रहा तेज बोलने का. बाबू कमेंटेड है. वाह यार 0 की बात है. ये मेरी आवाज हल्की आ रही है, तो बता. मेरा मन नहीं कर रहा तेज बोलने का. स्वीट इन्फिनिट बना दे
बाबू कमेंटेड है वाह यार 0 से तू बता मेरा मन नहीं यार ये उठ क्यों गया वापस बैठ जा इससे हो रहा है कुछ है जी सीन ट्रांजिशंस क्या है एफपीएस वगैरह यार ये उठ क्यों गया वापस बैठ जा इससे हो रहा है कुछ है जी
हुआ क्या कुछ
है कुछ है जी
सीन ट्रांजिशंस क्या है एफपीएस वगैरह
यार ये उठ क्यों गया वापस बैठ जा इससे हो रहा है कुछ है जी
हुआ क्या कुछ
है
अच्छा
कुछ
ये पागलपन कह रहा है हट
है जी
अरे क्या हो गया चैट को
सीन ट्रांजिशंस क्या है एफपीएस वगैरह यार ये उठ क्यों गया वापस बैठ जा इससे हो रहा है कुछ है जी
हुआ क्या कुछ जल्दी लेके आओ सिम कार्ड पे आवाज कहाँ से आ रही है स्ट्रीम की भी चल रही है मेरी भी आ रही है भाई यूट्यूब पे आवाज समझ नहीं आ रही मैं हल्के ही बोल रहा हूँ यार समझाने के लिए बोली घबरा यार इसे वापस नॉर्मल कर दो ठीक है इतनी है पहले 250 थी शायद अरे थ्री डॉट सेलेक्ट क्यों नहीं हो रहा है इतनी बार टच कर लिया इसको चलो जी बाय बाय हो गई i3 है भाई अटकेगा ये अबे विवेट का हूँ क्या मैं सब सही हो गया ना क्या विवेट का हुआ रहा आवाज पहले 250 थी शायद
अरे 3 डॉट सेलेक्ट क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? इतनी बार टच कर लिया इस पर, बाय बाय हो गई। i3 है भाई, अटकेगा ये। अबे विवेट का हूँ क्या मैं? सब सही हो गया ना। क्या विवेट का हुआ रहा? अच्छा भाई, ठीक है। चल बाय।
Some people, they don't start their car before playing the music, or they don't set it on a drive mode before they play the music. Okay, so we have these two methods. Let's say, or maybe in this video, let's talk about abstract keyword. Now, what is abstract? So before that, let's understand something. So we know what is class, what is object, what is inheritance, and how do we do overriding of the methods, right? Now, with those knowledge, let's talk about abstract keyword. So for that, what I will do is I will create a class here, and let me name this class as, let's say, a car. Okay. Now, in this car, you will define some methods. Let's say if we talk about car, a car can drive, of course, right? A car can play music as well, public void. I mean, that's what we do, right? We also play music in the car. Some people, they don't start their car before playing the music, or they don't set it on a drive mode before they play the music. Okay, so we have these two methods. Let's say, maybe we can add some more methods in the car. Maybe you can sleep in your car and other methods. But let's say we have this two. We have drive and we have play music. And of course, in this method, I can define some statements. Let's say when I say it is playing music, I can say play music, or we can write multiple statements. Logic is not important. The important thing is the concept. Let's focus on that. So let's say in the play music, we have this statement, and in drive, let's say at this point, I'm not sure. I want to build my own car, but I'm not sure how can I drive a car. I know how to implement play music, but I don't know how to set up the engine. I'm manufacturing my own car, so I don't know how to set up the engine, how to set up the wheels, but a car should drive. That's what I know, and that's why it's called a car, right? If you don't have a drive feature, then why you will call it a car? You can say it's a home theater. Anyway, now if I want to use this car, I can simply create an object. I can say obj a car obj equal to new car, and then I can call the methods. I can call both the methods obj dot drive and obj dot play music. Of course, we have two methods. I should be able to call them. Now, if you observe in the drive, we are not doing anything. Why we are not doing anything? Because I don't know how to implement drive, but I know how to implement play music. So I'm able to create this object and I'm able to call these two methods, and I think it should work. And if I go back and run, it works. It's not like if you don't define something, it will not work. It's working. The only thing is when you're defining this method, you are actually not implementing anything here. You're not writing any statements. So it's valid in Java syntax term, but as a feature, I mean, just imagine you're buying a new phone and your phone says it can do this feature, feature 1, feature 2, feature 3, but then none of the feature works. Of course, you will not buy any phone like that, right? In the same way, if we talk about this car, you are writing a method here which is drive and you're not implementing it. Why? Someone should be able to create an object of this. Why, in first place, someone should create a class itself, right? When you don't know how to implement it. So the thing is, when you build an application, you have a structure which you follow. You design your application. I'm not talking about the thing which you see on the screen. I'm talking about when you build an application, you design on paper. What are the classes you need? What are the methods you need? Now, at this point, you know how to play music, but you don't know how to drive. Now, in that case, should I remove this method completely? If I do that, then how you call it as a car? So what you can do is you can say, hey, I'm creating this method drive, but I'm not sure what should I implement it here. So instead of defining it here, so when you open the curly brackets and close, you are basically defining a method. So instead of defining a method, you can basically declare a method, which means you can put a semicolon at the end. When you do that, you are declaring a method. That also means that the drive feature you had declaring, but it's not working, and no one should be able to create object of it. Okay, again, we'll see that in some time, but when I declare it, it is giving you an error. Now, first of all, why you will declare it when you are not defining anything? Maybe I have this mindset, someone else can just come back and they can say, they can implement a car. Maybe they will build a wagon, let's say, and a wagon will extend my car, and it is the wagon's responsibility. In fact, instead of saying wagon, let's say Wagoner. It's a very famous car if you search online. So we have this Wagoner car, which some of them don't like. Not a big fan of it, but okay. So let's say we have this car, Wagoner extends car. In fact, I have a car which is smaller than Wagoner, which I love. So we have this class Wagoner extends car here, and what I want here is I want this Wagoner to implement the drive feature. See, if you think car is just an abstract concept, right? No one actually buys a car. What you buy is a real car, like Wagoner or BMW GLS or Toyota Fortuner or Ford EcoSport, right? So you buy a real car. You don't buy a car. This is just a concept. So when I say drive here, a car don't know how to drive, but then when you create a real car, that car will know how to drive. So I want this Wagoner to be responsible to define this method, because I can just copy this and paste it here, and here instead of declaring it, I will define. So what I want is I want this Wagoner to implement it. Of course, the other feature like play music can simply be extended, but not drive. Drive should be implemented here. And Wagoner, I mean the company who built Wagoner cars, it's their responsibility to define the method here. I can say driving. Of course, they will write a complex logic, but just to make it simple, I'm writing one statement. So they are responsible to define this method, and we're not doing it here. Now, if you want to declare a method, you can see we're getting an error here. I have to implement it. Have a drive feature. Strike keyword. You can see drive. If you have to, it will have you can actually unique. You cannot connect a reference to absolute Wagoner music. That's how you have a method. It's not like method abstract class which has so you can. compulsory to have the abstract. You can create an abstract of okay, and then with this obj you can call drive, you can call play music, and we have talked about dynamic method dispatch, and we know when you call drive, it will be calling drive of Wagoner, not of car. Anyway, it is declared, right? Calling right, abstract class, yes. Not create object of an abstract class. Okay, but then can I get a reference of abstract class? Yes, that is possible. You can say car obj that is so drive. Okay, the use an abstract, and that's how you when you say abstract, you define this method, and we're not doing it here. Now, if you want to declare a method, you can see we're getting an error here. You can use an abstract keyword. So when you say abstract, it means I'm just giving you the abstract idea of a car should have a drive feature, but I don't know how to implement it. Now, when you are using my feature and when you call your vehicle as a car, it should have a drive feature. Or whatever object you're creating is a car, you need to have a drive feature. And that's how you make it. So you make a public abstract void drive. So you have to use an abstract keyword if you want to declare a method. Okay, here we are defining it. But if you can see, even if I do abstract, it
अरे प्रैक्टिकल उदाहरण में सही से बताएं क्या होगा।
abstract method. And you can create multiple abstract method. Okay, example, if I can, when this is possible, but in the movies you see that, right? So a car jumps from one building to the building. Okay, and I hope you know the movie name. But anyway, so if you talk about this abstract method, which is fly, and you can see I'm declaring it here. Now, when you declare a method, and when you say you have an abstract class which is getting implemented or which is getting extended by another class, it becomes compulsory for you to define one more method here. So you can say public, not app. So you can say flying. Okay, and now with this you can call the methods. You can say obj.fly, and this should work. Compile, run, and you can see it says driving, play music, and flying. Now there's one important thing here, which is what if when you're creating this class Wagoner and then you're not able to implement fly, what will happen? First of all, it's compulsory to define all the methods. Okay, all the abstract methods. So you can see in this class we have 3 methods, but only 2 methods are abstract, and that's why it says it should define fly as well as drive. But we're not implementing fly, so you can see it says the type Wagoner must implement the inherited abstract
टाइप है
method car.fly. But what if you don't do that? So in that case, if you have a class which is not able to implement all the methods, in this case, even this class becomes an abstract class. So you have to make it abstract class. And you can say there's no error. But the problem now is you can't create object of abstract class, right? So maybe you have to create a new class here by saying updated Wagoner, which can also fly. And this will extend. Now, which class you want me to extend? The car or the Wagoner? Of course, Wagoner, right? Because you will get this drive feature from Wagoner. So you can simply extend it with Wagoner. And then here, in this class, you can basically create object of fly. In fact, if you are using IDE and if you're lazy to type, you can come to this error and you can say fix, quick fix, add unimplemented methods, and it will do it for you. Okay, and here we can say flying. So even you can do that. The only thing is now the object will not be of Wagoner. The object will be of
काम नहीं होता ये आगे यार क्या पागलपन का कीवर्ड है। अच्छा जी serve as a blueprint of the classes menu implementation। इम्प्लीमेंटेशन हाइड कैसे कर रहा है समझा नहीं हुआ। जब वो एब्स्ट्रैक्ट मेथड में जब हम बस भाग रहे हैं ड्राइव कर रहा हो शोइंग ओनली एसेंशियल फीचर्स तो एनकैप्सुलेशन है यार। हाँ भाई ये तो पढ़ लिया क्या है। समरी पढ़ा करूँ मैं। They must be implemented in subclasses। सबक्लासेस कौन सी होती हैं? चाइल्ड क्लास है ना, देखना पड़ेगा सब क्लासेस और चाइल्ड क्लास को बोलते हैं सब क्लास मतलब कि अच्छा उन्होंने must be implemented in सब क्लासेस। ठीक है lecture class cannot contain more lecture can create lecture। ठीक है, एयर क्लास इसी का पार्ट है।
Class can have methods, right? Now, these variables and methods only work for this class. That's right, a class inside a class. I know that sounds weird at first, but let me go with that. See, most of the time when you build an application, you might have a scenario where a class will be used only for that particular purpose. Okay, so let's say you have a class A, and then that class needs variables, so we can do that. Example, you have a class A here. So when you have this class A, this class can have variables. This class can have methods, right? Now, these variables and methods only work for this class A. So if you want to access them, you have to get a
या मैंने एक्सेप्ट मतलब ऐसे नहीं पढ़ा, मतलब क्या। when we हो गए हम अचानक से आई से, when we are not inside this abstract, I mean hiding something. या इतना अच्छे से बता रहे थे, देख रहा है तू, मैंने खोल दी ना स्ट्रीम। एक मिनट रुक जाओ, कहाँ गया, पागल हो गया लैपटॉप में। देख तो रहा है तू यार, देख abstract view, abstract is not hiding anything, abstract is hiding the implementation। तो उसमें कुछ इम्प्लीमेंटेशन है ही नहीं, क्या है ये, तो हाइड क्या कर रहा है। चल मैं लिखना स्टार्ट करता हूँ, एब्स्ट्रैक्शन। मैं मुंह बंद क्यों करूँगा, फिर क्या कह रहा है तू। अभी बहुत नींद आ रही है। बिकॉज method is not, इन्हें मेरी बात का जवाब क्या दिया है थे। कुछ भी नहीं दिया है। मैंने इससे पूछा कि जब इम्प्लीमेंटेशन है नहीं एब्स्ट्रैक्ट मेथड में, तो वो हाइड क्या कर रहा है। तो द आंसर इज the abstract method itself is not hiding anything, the abstract class is hiding the implementation by not showing it। क्या भाई, इम्प्लीमेंटेशन है नहीं तो नॉट शोइंग इट क्या। आंसर दे देता है मेरे कुछ भी। थिंक ऑफ टीवी रिमोट सपोज योर। तूने एग्जांपल गलत दिया है क्या सर ने? इससे कौन सी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ऐड हुई मेरी वर्ड ड्राइव से? अच्छा, तो मैं इसे यूज क्या कर रहा हूँ? ओ ठीक है, समझा। मैं एक ही साउंड के मेथड को कहीं भी यूज कर सकता हूँ अपने डिफरेंट एनिमल के हिसाब से। डॉग पे मैं साउंड वाली सेम मेथड को लिख के, ओवरराइड वाली एनोटेशन को लिख के उस पर कुछ भी उससे काम करवा सकता हूँ। अब वही हाइड इम्प्लीमेंटेशन आप समझा हुआ। अच्छा जी। बढ़िया समझा आपको मैंने। देख रहा है? चला गया। इसने एब्स्ट्रैक्ट क्लास एनिमल एब्स्ट्रैक्ट क्यों? क्यों? अभी पूछते हैं बाबू। मैं नोट्स बना रहा हूँ इसलिए शाम को ये हो सब सो गया। इम्प्लीमेंटेशन इज हिडन। अच्छा जी, ठीक है। ये पार्ट था मेन। थक गया यार मैं तो। डाउनलोड क्यों नहीं होता है यार एक ही बार में? जरूरत थी भी इसे पढ़ने की। ये पार्ट देखना पड़ेगा यार, कैसे होता है। 72। भाई मुझे 90 तक, 91 तक देखनी थी ये तो। मेरी तो बुद्धि फिर गई इसी में। मतलब यार थक सा गया। 72।
inside a class. I know that sounds weird at first, but let me go with that. See, most of the time when you build an application, you might have a scenario where a class will be used only for that particular purpose. Okay, so let's say you have a class A, and then that class needs variables, so we can do that. Example, we have a class A here. So when you have this class A, this class can have variables, this class can have methods, right? Now, these variables and methods only work for this class A. So if you want to access them, you have to get A class first. In the same way, let's say if you have a class where the class is totally dependent on class A, there's no other need for it. In that case, you can create a class inside the class. Okay, the way you do that is by defining a class like A, and then you can define a class called B inside it. Now, just the way you have class A here, I can create a variable that works. We can say variable age, and then we can have method as well, which is public void show. Now we have these two things. We have a variable which is age, and then we have a method which is show, and then we have a class as well. So imagine a class having all three things: a variable, a method, and a class. And inside this class, let's say I create a method which is public void config, and in this config, I will print something. Let's say in config, just to print something, okay? And I'm trying to make this example as simple as possible. That's why I'm using this class name. In real life, don't do that. Make sure that you use proper class names. And so let's say we have this scenario. Now, question is, how will you call this config? So it's very easy to call show. In fact, I should print something here just to see what it prints in show. Now, question to you is, how will you call this show? And then we have seen this, right? You simply have to create this object of A, and then you can call obj.show. I mean, show will perfectly work, right? If I compile this code and run, you can see it says in show. Now, I want to call config. How will you do that? Of course, you will say if it is a class B, then you have to create object of B to call this config. Let's try. If I try to create object of B by saying B obj1 new B, you can see it will give you an error. It says B cannot be resolved. Oh, it's not able to find B. The thing is, B is not openly available, right? B is a part of A. So if you want to have a B here, you need to say A.B. So B belongs to A. That's why you have to say this. Okay, now why I'm doing this. So when you say if you compile this code, and if I go back here, you see that we got two classes, and we have seen this, right? Every time you compile a code, you will get those number of class files. So you got a class file for demo, that makes sense. You can see we have demo.class. You will get A.class as well because A is a class, but we also got B is also class, right? It should have its own class file. And that's right, we got it. We got B.class. The only thing is B belongs to A. So the dollar symbol separates these two. So it says B class belongs to A class, and that's why it's A$B. Okay, that makes sense. So if you want to access B, you have to say A.B. That's how you access it, and you can say obj1. You can say there's no problem in declaring the variable. The problem is when you say new, now how will you do it? If you say B, it will not work again. It will say cannot able to resolve B. In that case, if you say A.B, no, that's not the proper syntax. The thing is, if you want to create object of B, you need object of A first. Now you will say why? It's very simple. If you want to call B, if you want to call this show, now show is a method, right? It's a non-static method, which means if you want to call show, you need object. In the same way, if you want to access this variable age, you need object. In the same way, if you want to create object of B, you need object of A because that is a non-static method. Okay, so I'm focusing more on static here, right? Can I create a static class? Yes, we'll see that in some time. But we got this object here, and now using this obj1, I can call the config method. If you want to create object of inner class, which is B in this case, you need to first specify where it belongs to. So B belongs to A, and then you need object of outer class. Outer class, which is obj here. To create object of inner class. And once you have that, you can simply call these methods, and that will properly work. You can see what in show and in config. Okay. Now we have also focused on a static class, right? You can also make this class as static. And we all know when you refer to a static class, you don't need object. So basically, you don't call this with the help of object. You can directly refer with A.B. Now this will work only when the class is static. The inner class is static. It will not work for non-static class. Now, can we really make static class? Yes, we can, provided that it's an inner class. If it is outer class, you can't. can't make outer class static. You can see it will give you error. It says
मैं जा रहा सोने, मैं देखता हूँ 3 घंटे 6 बजे आऊँ लाइव। 6 बजे क्या यार, अब 6 बजे अलार्म लगाऊँ क्या? थक गया मैं यार, पढ़ा भी नहीं मैंने। सार्थक भैया भी सो गए मुझे लग रहा है। दीपक भाई आज पता नहीं कहाँ गायब है, लाइव भी नहीं है और कोई भी नहीं आया। चलो
but anyway, so we talk about this.
बहुत मेहनती लग रहा है क्या भैया। चलो बाय बाय, स्टॉप